Live from the Trustmark studios of the Gallo Show, Trustmark wants to stand by business owners, and they do. In these convoluted times, you need them to help you through 2020. We call it hindsight, but foresight is that you want to get out of 2020. And these people can help you. Trustmark.com/business. Check it out today and put them on your team. Anything you want to mention? It is Burl, Cain, Commissioner, Mississippi Department of Corrections, in the house. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm just fine as I can be.
Never stop working, do you?
Never stop.
And by the way, it's good to have you in the house. It's your daily agenda is set for most of the week, all the time.
Pretty much. We're flexible though, because you never know. You know, you one phone call from disaster sometime.
Well, and when the legislature comes in, I guess it alters a little bit.
Well, it does, and we're meeting with the legislator today at 10 o'clock, and we try to accommodate them every way we can. Talked to one a couple of days ago about someone sick in prison.
Is the budget hearing start, is that tomorrow? I think they do, but yours is not tomorrow?
Mine's Thursday.
Well, tomorrow is Thursday.
Well, then it's tomorrow. See, I'm confused about what days it is.
Well, just put me on your staff there. We're okay.
Okay, cool.
Since the last time we had you in here, so just a lot of things have happened, but just if you want to give an overview to the people of the state from the commissioner, go for it.
Well, a lot of new things we're doing. We just completed our hiring operation for probation parole officers, and we made 64 job offers this past week, and so that's really good. We had 81 vacancies, and it should have never been that way. And I have to commend the personnel board because they changed some rules, some things around so that we could just hire statewide, not just hire by the county. And that was a hindrance to do that. Also, we've hired over 100 correctional officers since we came here in June. So that's moving up. You got to have people, to have peace and harmony and run the prisons.
Were you able to pay them a little bit more? How could you? Is that changed, or is it the same?
No. What happened is, though, we described it differently, because if you say what the base pay is, which you say, then you leave out all the benefits.
Yeah. And
if you have it's $28,000 to start, which is a really pretty good rate. But by the time you add all the benefits, the premium pay, and so forth, you're over 40. So we never did describe it. No one ever described it the correct way. So we had to get out there and attract some folks to come on in and go to work, and that's what we did.
What's the average stay of a correctional guard?
It hasn't been long, but two more things we did. We gave the first raise about a year and a half after you got there, and we changed that to give the first raise in 6 months, because you hook them to come in. They know in 6 months they're going to get another raise, and the second raise comes in a year and a half. So we bumped it up, and again, the personnel board helped us with all those things just so we could retain them once we get them. You make them wait a year and a half, and then they leave. They're gone.
You are moving at rapid speed. From the word on the ground is even things like the Prison Reform Task Force that you had a hearing in the Mississippi Supreme Court.
We did. And that's on reentry, but you move at warp speed when you look at how long you're going to be here, maybe, because, if you just have a career, you look at, I'm going to retire. But if you have this kind of job, you say, I have 4 years. We don't have a lot of time. We got to rock and roll. So that's what we're doing. It's kind of new culture for the employees because they've been a little bit slower than I am. So they got to speed up.
So we talk about the prison reform. Where is that now as far as what needs to be changed, and what's your trajectory on this to get it done? I
would just comment, and speaking of that, we weren't really ready for those inmates to be released had he signed 21-23, because we're sitting here with 84 probation positions vacant. Those guys are got a supervisor, ones who do get out. So you need a full cadre of probation parole officers, and then you need the reentry program. Otherwise, you have the revolving door. The reentry program is so that we have people with skills and trades when they leave with a job in hand, and that's what we were doing with the reentry council and working with them to create this. And we've done that in some other states, but never here to the degree we're about to do it. And MPIC plays a major role because they have the industries and so forth. That's the nonprofit, that runs all the industries. So we partner with them. An example would be this. We're starting a welding school for women, and it's going to start in January. And that's because women are employable, and they're very good welders, and it's proven. And so there's jobs for welders, especially on the coast. So why not have a welding school for women?
That's incredible.
Well, but that's thinking outside the box.
Yes, it
so
is.
They can weld, and that's good. And we started our women's seminary. It's going to start in January with New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary.
Now, this is going to be at Parchment, or where is it?
No, this is at the women's prison. This is at CMCF right here in Jackson, where
Mm-hmm.
the women are. So we already have one at Parchment, and we got it ramped up and going. It's got 35 students now. And so we stumbled a little bit. We hit a COVID problem right there, so we had to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. But anyway, that one is really ramped up with 35 prisoners. And our chaplains at Parchment, we've hired 3 chaplains, and all 3 of those have degrees from a seminary, but they've done a total of about 110 years between them. Actually, there's 4 of them in prison. So our chaplains are ex-prisoners that have been educated to be chaplains and are preaching, so they can go into prison and have access to all the other inmates. The inmates relate to them.
But to be honest, and again, Burl Cain is my guest commissioner of Mississippi Department of Corrections, you didn't find that infrastructure in good shape when you got here.
No, it was pretty tattered, and so that wasn't pretty much non-existent, and so all these things are just fixing. And so, but we know how to do it, and we know how to do it really fast, and so to delay is not an option. Some people have lost their jobs because they don't want to move on and go forward, and so they'll just wait somebody like me out because they say, you're going to be here 4 years. I'm just going to lay back and you'll be gone, and I'll still be here. And that dog don't hunt with me, So we're not allowing that to happen. We got to move fast.
So they're waiting the attrition on their part because they've got time on their hands.
That's right, but not anymore. And for instance, we're going to have a new chapel built. It's going to be 6,000 square feet inside the fences at Parchment so we can have Easter Sunday service this year. So we're rocking and rolling on that. That's a big building, but that's a goal. That's what we're going to do. And if you went to Parchment now, it's all cleaned up. The grass is mowed. It all looks really cool. It looks real clean. It's really good.
The amount of buildings that are open there, some were closed down?
They are. Some are old, and we're gonna use 5 buildings. We feel like, and we're gonna air condition those 5 buildings. And I had the people at Parchment Monday to evaluate that and see how it would work. And so we're going that direction because it is too hot in there. But our correctional officers are in that heat too, and they have to work in there. So it's just better, and most prisons are moving that direction. And we can not cool it to 72, but we can get it to 78 pretty easy. And that's a lot
78, I'm sure, would be a dream to most of them.
It'd be a dream.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's been 100, 95 and 100 in there. So anyway, those things are encouraging to the prisoners as well.
Are you okay where the agriculture situation is there, or should that be changed, or give us a little report on that?
Well, that's a whole nother. That's what's unique about this job. You can go from one place to the other and have a whole nother event. Having a degree in agriculture, it fits me well. We can do a lot better. For instance, we're not going to be leasing land to people that don't mow the turn rows and keep their roads mowed and keep it all clean. It's got to all look good. Look like a real farm in the Delta. Can't look like a trashy, ratty farm. And so that's causing some folks to take another look, because some people would just go plant the crop, then come back and cut whatever beans or whatever they had and not nurture it through the growing season, and then turn it in for insurance and get a government payment for insurance on a crop failure.
And that's pretty good land out there too, isn't it?
It's very good land, and so we're not going to do that anymore either. Those kind of people won't be able to keep their lease. Everything has to be productive and be normal, like the regular community.
Are you okay as far as what the lease on that land is, or per acre? We getting our money's worth?
We are, I think we are, but we can do better, and we can farm more of it ourselves because we have the equipment. We are farming about 5,000 acres, and so we can do more. And the more we do, the more we make, and the more we save the state of Mississippi.
Hemp farm on there?
I don't believe.
I just thought I'd throw that out. Commissioner Burl Cain, he announced last week Mississippi Department of Corrections has suspended or dismissed 5 employees, and we'll talk about that and more coming back with the good commissioner who is in the house. And then, speaking of which, Captain Johnny Polis, Mississippi Highway Patrol, is in the house coming up at 8:05 on a Wednesday. Live from the Trustmark Studios, it is the Commissioner of the Mississippi Department of Corrections, Burl, Cain. Listen, can we talk about these people who were fired or laid off or multiple choice?
Right. It was 10 of them, and it was a FBI as well as our investigation and several others, and so it was unfortunate because our security was totally compromised. And drugs and contraband was pouring in, and when you have no visiting and you still have drugs, then it's coming from the correctional officers and employees. Mm-hmm. And so we had to clean it up because it was chaos in there. And so this is great.
And we're talking about parchment, or was it system-wide?
It's CMCF, but we have it system-wide. And so it's just a matter of getting control of it. And so we're going to be installing about 900 cameras in the three prisons, Parchment, CMCF, and SMCI, and that's going to really help us, and that'll be in by January. And so that's going to help us see what's going on and record what's going on. These cameras have artificial intelligence, which can really zoom in real close. You can read what's written and so forth if they're writing notes. So that's going to help us with our security. But to get out the officers that were dirty and contaminating the place, I just hope they all go to jail, because it's horrible what you do because you put people's lives at risk with all this contraband. And so we're really getting a handle on it and controlling it. And we have another plan that we're going to be using with some of these other officers. We just hired a probation pro. People are going to be more involved with us inside the prison with shaking down and trying to get it out. And it's coming back from that gang situation, and we're working on that really well. Yeah. I didn't have that in Louisiana, but we're going to deal with it.
You've been introduced to it here, so what's the status of that?
The status of that is to divide and conquer, and so that's what we're going to do, and then kill the economy in it, and that is to keep the drugs and contraband out of the prison and go to extreme measures to do it, because it has to happen. And then the hiring of correctional officers and hiring and training them well so that they, can really help us and not hurt us and be part of the problem.
We have some situation with nepotism up there, too, as far as who knows who and who's kin to who.
We do, but that's not – we have a lot of really good employees. You just have a few really bad ones, and that's what's caused us not to be able to hire people, is you'd hire somebody who's comes in clean, he wants to do a good job and so forth, and all of a sudden he starts seeing the corruption that's in there from some of the correctional officers, and he leaves. So to stop all this is going to help us to fill all our drops and so forth. And this has to happen because we have to do our reentry programs, because that's what we're really here to do, is change people's lives. Our job is to correct deviant behavior, not lock and feed, torture, and torment. Yeah. And so that's the road we're on.
I would think the new employee, the number one thing that he wants is a commitment from the front office from you that he understands, that you understand, that he wants to stay there, and that's not acceptable.
He does, and we advertise this as a career job, and so we want him to look at it for the long haul.
What is is there a trend as far as the contraband of choice? Is it still cell phones, or is it a multitude of things?
Believe it or not, it's tobacco.
It is now?
It is, and we hear the talk, and I don't know if this is really true, but 10 pounds of tobacco worth $2,100. Cigarette worth, $40, $30, $40. Excuse me, this Mississippi weather is making me have a little sinus here, so it's good.
No, that's that years of that jambalaya in Louisiana. Don't be blaming it on, don't be blaming it on us. Come on.
Oh, Lord.
I do want to ask this, though, because you've seen this too. We've gotten more sophisticated on the contraband. Speak to me about the drones.
Well, the drone, that's a really funny thing about that drone. This drone come flying in, and he got caught in the net because I guess he was a poor flyer. But anyway, we got the drone, and so the drone has technology in it. It has a data recorder because it was a real sophisticated drone, and we have it, so we love having it now. But actually, the guy flying a drone had held the drone up, and the drone has a camera, and it had taken his picture.
Now, let me ask you this. What size drone was that?
It was about a 1.5 foot wide.
Yeah, so it's a pretty nice size one.
It was It could carry a pound and 2 ounces with its load capacity, And with that, it had a cell phone, it had cigarette lighters, it had a little bag of marijuana about 8 inches high with those pods in it, the marijuana pods.
How far were they away from the gates of the prison or from the fence?
They were close. They drove in with their car, and that's another question, how they get so close without being challenged. And so anyway, they took off from there, and it hit that net, and they lost it. But then what we did is we were able to follow it back, the drone back. They were from Vicksburg, so they had brought it over from Vicksburg. But the way we knew that is it was flying from a residence in Vicksburg up and down, up and down, up and down. They were practicing. And so we knew where they were practicing and whose house it was and what address it was. And we had a picture of him. So we just had to go to that house, and there it was.
They were not part of the Mensa group at all.
Apparently that meeting was closed that day.
They were kind of dumb criminals, really.
So what's the charges against these two?
Introduction of contraband to the prison, trespassing.
Jeez.
And they're going to do some time with that. And they were young, and so one of them was 18, I believe.
They have relatives in there, or were they doing it for monetary
One of them
purposes?
was an ex-prisoner, and he was on probation. So he's going to have that revoked, so he's going to do a lot of time. The young guy, the kid, though, we're going to, he'll get another chance somewhere along the way after he gets his
Has this whet your appetite for maybe using drones in the future?
Well, what we're doing is we have that drone, and then we bought 2 more drones.
Oh, did you?
We did, and then we have those side-by-side four-wheelers at Parchment, because they brought in so much contraband. You wouldn't believe this. It was 3 weeks ago. We had a pickup truck load of duffel bags full of contraband, and in one bag was 10 pounds of catfish with some frying oil and some cornmeal, and they were going to have a fish fry and some beer. So that tells you that.
Oh, goodness.
It blows my mind. I've never seen anything like it. We laugh about it, but we had it. We got it. They didn't get it. Plus,
it was like they were ordering out at Chick-fil-A or something, wasn't it?
I'm telling you, that means it was getting in. So that's telling you that we were short and we had some real corruption inside, to get it in. And so we right on top of it, though. Now, though, the drones are going to be flying over Parchment, and we're going to be catching all that coming. And that's the other reason we want to open the back gate at Parchment, so that we can have more control at the backside of it. And just good security. I don't know why they really closed it before.
For people who don't know visually about that, because that's quite a difference. It's quite a bit of yards between the front gate and the back gate. That's a pretty sprawling area.
About 6 miles, probably, because there's 18,000 acres in Parchment.
So if you don't man that, you don't know what's going on as far as the back gate is concerned. A lot of things could go on. You don't have actual patrols going through that area at any given time?
No, they didn't, but we do now. And the other thing is you close off that community out to the back gate, so they can't get to come to work. They have to drive 20 miles around. So you shut down some of your employment potential. So that's why we have to open that up.
Working with the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker, and all of the agencies there as far as workforce development and working with your prison industries, where do you want to see that go, Commissioner?
Well, it's going to the point that we're going to have normalization, that we're going to have moral rehabilitation occurring. We're going to change the culture of this Department of Corrections. We're going to have a place where you go to prison and you come out a lot better than when you went in, and less victims of violent crime. We have to reduce the recidivism rate. But the good news is the governor, the lieutenant governor, the legislators, we have no pushback on being progressive, on moving forward. Do what it takes to fix this penal system, and wide open.
It is amazing the lives you can change when you do things like that. Just take, for instance, the first woman who graduates and she's getting out, and she is an accomplished welder. I mean, as you said, there are many jobs in the state of Mississippi. We talked about Ingalls and places like that she could go, start off at $40,000 or $50,000, and it's a whole new life.
It is, because she can make a living. She can take care of her family. She has dignity and respect. But if you go out the front gate and you have no dignity and respect, no job skills, what do? You just can't hardly make it. Plus, you're an ex-convict. And so that's a stigma. And so therefore, we have to have these jobs and skills and training, and women can do what men can do, basically. And so that needs to move right on over to their area as well.
I want to ask your view as far as, because we got a big initiative on the ballot coming up in November as far as medical marijuana. I don't know if you've you have some views on that, what your thoughts are. As far as recreational marijuana, how it affects the prison system in Louisiana and how it affects it here. When we come back, final segment with the Commissioner of the Mississippi Department of Corrections, the one and only Burl Cain. That is next. Okay, final segment here with the good Commissioner of the Department of Corrections, Burl Cain. And let me ask you, before we get final thoughts here, short segment, the marijuana situation in the state. What's your experience of that as far as the prison industries?
Well, I have an opinion about it, medical marijuana, because I know some folks and had some friends. One had Parkinson's disease, and the medical marijuana changed his quality of life, and he's still doing it and doing well, but it's regulated, and it is what it is, and if it can help people who are sick and give them quality of life, then I'm all for it.
So you think, as far as medical marijuana, and I agree with you, medical marijuana just make sure if you have the right regulations in place.
If you have controls and it's medical, prescribed by the doctor, and in his case, it's really worked for him with Parkinson's disease.
But do you have people in prison that are there for a small amount of marijuana, illegal?
Not so much anymore. You may get it on a 3-strike and you're out, and get it on that one so you get a long sentence, but you had 2 other charges that were bad, and it was just the frosting on the cake. And so you could have that, but I don't think so much anymore, such long sentences.
If it is drugs, it's not marijuana.
Yeah, it's other drugs. It's dealing, it's selling and promoting it, and then you have to still realize, could marijuana be a gateway drug to other drugs? So I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole because I don't know.
I never understood, because some of these people are in prison too. They're so talented. They are great entrepreneurs. They just how they can run a business that's that successful in prison is amazing.
It is, and they can, and they get in prison and do it. And that's part of the reason we want to have our rodeo, is because we're going to teach entrepreneurship.
Where are we with the rodeo?
Well, we're coming along. We have to get control of the prison, and we have to get the gangs out of the way. And if we can have a rodeo, and that's the challenge for the inmates.
Are we moving that way?
We are, and we're planning it. But I'm saying that because they're hearing me, and they need to know that if we're going to move forward, you got to clean up your act, guys. And so you got to help me do it.
Yeah.
But the point is, then when we do that skills and trades thing and all of the arts and crafts, you're teaching entrepreneurship, which is what they need.
A lot of talent there.
It is there, and give it a chance to bloom, and that's part of reentry. And so it worked for us so well. I mean, we saw it go to $250,000 on any given Sunday at Angola with that rodeo. We can do that here.
Yeah. Well, and the word is we're getting closer, but you gotta come all the way before we get it.
You gotta be worthy.
I got it. Final thoughts, sir.
Well, I tell you what. Final thought from me is we're going to move forward. I appreciate the support from the legislature, the governor, the lieutenant governor, the powers that be. We can change this penal system. We're on our way. We know what to do. We have a good group of people that are motivated to move forward. So we're rocking and rolling.
Would you like to go on and tell them now, because they are also listening, as far as all the legislatures, what your request going to be as far as the budget tomorrow?
I don't actually know. So therefore, I have some guys that do the budget. They know where I want to get and so forth, and we'll go defend it. But I'm not one to go over and beg and plead and give me this and give me that. Give me what you can afford, and I'm going to make it work. The
number one thing you need right now that money could buy as far over there is what?
I need people. But we have money, and we're employing folks. We bought a deficit. We had a deficit of $24 million when I came here. We don't want it to be any larger. We want it to be smaller. We're going to be frugal. We're not wasting the money.
So far, how's your state been in the great state of Mississippi?
It's been wonderful. I really like it better because it's less people, it's less crowded, it's less chaos, and the folks here have been really nice and friendly, and they helping me accomplish this job better than I had in Louisiana.
I'm not thinking about retiring anytime soon.
No, I'm a young man.
That's why I said that.
I don't buy green bananas.
Well, that's wisdom right there. Do you know when the first game is as far as LSU's concerned?
I know it's coming up Saturday, and I'm kind of compromised because I really do like your coach. I've been a fan of his for years from Texas Tech, Coach Leach. So I really do like him, but I'm kind of neutral on this one because now I'm in Mississippi.
Well, come on. We got Leach. We got Lane Kiffin. We got Deion Sanders.
I know. What more can you have? You're bound to win a national championship with all that at some point.
Well, I heard a rumor that Ogeron was going to Southern.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm just kidding. As a matter of fact, I think he was on a documentary yesterday, wasn't he? Or has he got one coming up?
60 Minutes. They had him on for his voice because he's so unique.
Nobody like him, bub. Nobody like him. Always good seeing you. And anytime you need us, come on back and let's do it again.
Well, thanks for the invite today. Enjoyed it.
Commissioner, Mississippi Department of Corrections, Burl, Cain.